a tremendous honor for me to be here today and speak about the life and career of Henry Aaron. It's also very scary standing up here. I respected the man so much. I wouldn't want to disappoint him or his family. A lot of people don't know this story, but Hank was very instrumental in me becoming an Atlanta Brave. As the 1990 draft approached, the room of Braves decision makers was split on who they were going to take with their first pick. As legendary scout Paul Snyder once told me, the vote came around to Hank, and he paused, and he looked at everybody in the room, and he said, "Y'all better draft that Jones boy." Never forget that. That comment must have carried some weight. I put a picture out on social media the other day. It was of myself and Hank. He was perched up on the bench behind the batting cage in spring training. I had stopped to exchange some pleasantries with him, and as I looked out towards the field, the camera caught him looking down on me with a look of, "I knew you could do it, and I am so proud of you," almost like a doting father. I cherished every single one of my interactions with him through the years. Whenever he walked into the room, part of me said, "Boy, leave that man alone." But the other half said, "That's Hank Aaron, and that's a true hero. And he deserves the respect of you going up and greeting him." I always tend to listen to my other half. If you ever wanted to get Hank talking, you just had to ask him anything about hitting. Seemed pretty fitting, right? I can remember conversation about our bats. He liked a big bat, much like I did. He liked his his weight a little more evenly distributed. I was more of a top-heavy guy. Early in my career, I asked him if when he walked to the plate, was he ever intimidated? You got to remember, facing Gibson, Koufax, Drysdale, guys like that, pretty intimidating. He said, "Tipper, I fear no man when I have a bat in my hand." This is me making a mental note of that conversation. I've been asked many times in the last few days to describe Henry Aaron in one word. Without hesitation, that one word is simply beautiful. The swing, the smile, and the spirit, all beautiful. My senior quote in high school read, "When God measures man, he puts the tape around the heart and not the head." I think we all know how big Hank's heart was. Some of the stuff he dealt with while playing would have adversely affected most players. Not Hank. The desire and determination he displayed is legendary. He just merely pushed it aside for the time being and went out and performed at a galactic all-star level. Yes, the rest of us were mere earthlings. I am one who believes that Henry Aaron's popularity and legacy multiplied after retirement. He's been a long-time supporter of many civil rights organizations, and along with his wife, Billy, co-founded the Hank Aaron Chasing the Dream Foundation. This foundation has awarded hundreds of scholarships to underprivileged youth all over the United States. You want to talk about giving back? You want to talk about leaving a legacy? He set the perfect example for everyone in Atlanta Braves organization on how to deal with adversity. You just spread a little grace on it, and you go play ball. Keep swinging, as he would say. I feel that if Hank were to have one last message for all of us, it would be to respect each other, to help each other, and to keep love in your heart. Hammer, you are a transcendent baseball player, but you're also a transcendent figure in American history. We are so going to miss you. I speak for everyone affiliated with the Braves organization. We will continue to spread your good word and make sure your legacy continues to flourish. Thank you.